It's time to rendezvous with cassidoo. Boo! Hello, everybody. What's up? I haven't been in my home in so long and filming videos in my home in so long, it feels weird. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, hello, my name is Cassidy, and I have a weekly newsletter called Rendezvous with Cassidoo, and it is full of interesting articles, tech stuff, practice coding, a joke, and more. And this is the video form of that newsletter. And I myself have been on vacation in Spain for the past 3 weeks, and I am finally home again, and it feels weird, and I'm in denial, and I think I'm getting a sty in my eye. Ugh, what a pain. Anyway, let's talk about what happened in the issue this week. Okay, so first of all, Competition Drives Innovation, but Cooperation Sustains It by Nate Hagens. This reminds me of that quote, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I agree with it. It's something that I think we need to hear more in the industry. So many people, particularly now in this AI era, are like, who is going to win? And this is probably a hot take that my employers won't like, but I don't think you have to win. I think you can do well and help people do well and work together while also all trying to make money. I don't know. Weird. What a concept. Anyway, I thought it was a good quote. Once again, I am back from Spain. It was lovely. I made a video about it, which I'll link at the end of this video, and I'll link in the description if you want to see about it. But I traveled with my family, and traveling with toddlers is hard. Jet lag with toddlers is harder, but it was a really good time. Now, for the web links of the week, there's some cool ones. So first of all, the boring internet. It is a very interesting article, and I linked like the boring version of the article where it's text-based, but he also has an animated version of it, the author does. And it's basically talking about how right now it feels like the internet's dying, and the author argues that it's less about the internet dying and more like the commercial layer on top of the internet, but the communities are still there, the people are still there, and the boring, quote-unquote, infrastructure underneath the internet is still there. And a very good example of this, I've talked about it before, RSS. RSS is amazing. RSS is kind of done. It's a technology that lets you have all of these feeds and share feeds and process links on the internet. And one might think that RSS died when Google Reader died, but it didn't. It lived on. Podcasts are based on RSS. So many open things are built on these technologies that are considered boring. And anyway, I really liked this article. I thought it had some good takes. The next article is AI doesn't fix accessible systems, it depends on them. And honestly, the entire time you're like, well, yeah, of course, once you read it, once you understand it. And basically, the structure that accessibility provides to systems means that AI can perform better and generate better and build better code and systems. So anyway, I thought it was one of those articles that makes sense, but I'm glad someone said it. This next article, 9 times the web platform was influenced by libraries. It's kind of a listicle, but I like it because it talks about everything from like jQuery to React to different things and how these libraries shaped the direction that the web went, the how browsers implemented things and everything because people used it so much. One example is how in jQuery way back in the day, if you used that, let's go, it was jQuery made it so easy to update and add and change classes in HTML. It was a pain in the butt in JavaScript before that. And then the web platform adopted something that was particularly nice called class list to be able to manipulate that. That was because of jQuery. There's other examples in that article, hence the 9 times, but it was a pretty good one. And finally, this last article, I had to like noodle on this a bit because it's interesting. And so it's called Projecting React, and it's from Tanner Lindsley, who makes TanStack. And I know TanStack is going through a lot right now. Good luck, team. But anyway, Tanner made a React projection for himself. And a projection, let's just say you have a big toolbox full of a ton of tools, and your neighbor needs a hammer and a screwdriver. Instead of giving them the entire toolbox, you can give them a hammer and a screwdriver. That hammer and screwdriver is a projection. what Tanner did was, for his website and for the TanStack website, he was like, React is very big. What if I made a projection of the public React API, so the things that you know, like components, JSX, hooks, whatever. What if I made a smaller version of React just for these websites? And it worked, and it's much smaller. He shows a bunch of numbers and stuff. What really got me noodling on this article in particular is the fact that the economics of making these kinds of projections has changed so much with AI, because now it's not going to take months at a time to create a small version of React, or you don't have to look at what options are available, like, do we use Preact? The API has changed a little bit, here's what we do, and so on and so forth. You can make this yourself, and being able to make these projections means that you can now discuss trade-offs with your teams or with your own projects. Do you need all the bells and whistles, or do you need just some parts? What are the trade-offs in having all the bells and whistles and just some parts, in terms of speed, in terms of accessibility, in terms of all kinds of different things? So anyway, it posed some interesting questions as I was reading through this one, and I really liked this article. Now for something that interested me this week. Once again, I'm back in the USA. For the past 5 weeks, I have been in 3 countries. I was in Korea at the beginning of April, then I was home here in Chicago, and then I was in Spain. And what is sleep? Jet lag with toddlers is very, very challenging, but it's very nice to be back home. It's very nice. I'm going to be streaming more again, and so if you go to Twitch, and I think I have it set up so I can stream here on YouTube now too, but I'll be streaming on Thursdays. And speaking of streaming, I did a live stream yesterday that I linked on it in the future tense in here, but it was yesterday, 2 days ago. What day is it? Anyway, Monday of this week, I was on a live stream called Vibing Like It's 1999, Coding Like It's 2026, where it was specifically folks who are millennials and Gen X talking about their opinions about vibe coding, and it was very, very fun. As a peak millennial, as the New York Times calls me, born in 91, it was very fun to chat with people who have similar mindsets, similar levels of experience, but also how we're navigating this very weird world. It was a good time. Now, in terms of sponsoring this week, we didn't have one. Oh well, but if you or your company would like to sponsor, let me know. You can respond to the email. You can look at the sponsor page on my website, which I linked in this portion of the newsletter. You can back me on Patreon, which gets you access to a very active Discord group. I need to figure out how to post better on Patreon itself, but I promise it's active, or on GitHub Sponsors, which also lets you get access to that Discord group. Anyway, all of these things is very, very helpful to support my work, because though it is all free to consume, it is not free to make, and it is very helpful if y'all can lend a lady a hand. But otherwise, don't worry about it. You're here. Let's keep going. Should I tell you to smash that subscribe button? Probably. Anyway, for the interview question of the week, last week I had you work with co-prime numbers. I thought that was a fun question, and good job everybody who did it. This week, you are given a 2D grid representing a screen and a starting position for a bouncing object, and a target position and a diagonal direction. And on each step, the object moves, and then you have to find out how many bounces it takes for the object to get to a certain part. This was fully inspired by me watching the DVD logo on a screen because someone had a DVD on a screen. Anyway, I saw that and thought that would be a kind of an interesting question. If you would like to respond to the question, you can drop a comment here on YouTube or social media, Blue Sky, Twitter, LinkedIn, Mastodon, or just respond to the email. Just give me a link with your submission. Now for some cool things around the internet. The first one, Mechanical Pencil. It's literally mechanical-pencil.com, but the creator of this has made this beautiful website where it breaks down how mechanical pencils work, but also various other tools and things. And I really love looking at that kind of stuff and blueprints and patents of how things are constructed. And I thought it was a cool website. The next link is a keyboard, the Agar Mini keyboard. I'm so close to getting one. It's so cute, but I don't need a 40% keyboard, but it's a small keyboard with a combination of keycaps, and it's so cute. I don't need one. I don't need one. Ah. This next one is a paper, a study about a new ultra stainless steel. Ultra stuns researchers. It's kind of a clickbaity title, but it's interesting because this new stainless steel version creation thing resists corrosion in a new way, and it was interesting to learn about. I admit I don't know much about materials engineering or anything, but I like learning about that kind of stuff on occasion, so it was cool. And this last article, Speed is Not Conducive to Wisdom, it's a blog post that someone wrote about how right now, fast-paced, AI-driven capitalism world, everything is going fast, 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 but as a result, people aren't learning well. And I actually talked about it on the live stream earlier this week, where because we're failing less, because we're just getting answers to things and moving quickly and not having the patience to learn things properly at large, we're not gaining the same type of wisdom of systems and how things work. And I thought it was a good article that kind of reflected my own thoughts on the subject in general, but it was very well said, talking about how you can move fast, break things, and all that, but you know that some of the best learning you do is when you do poorly at it and have to learn from it. Or you realize this idea that I worked on was not very good and now I can change it. Though those things where speed and pushing forward and getting the correct answers and just moving forward, those things don't help you learn. And we need to figure out how to go back to a learning mindset if we're going to continue to have expertise in our field in different ways, whatever expertise will look like in the future. But anyway, good article. And for the joke, I had a pair of racing snails. I removed their shells to make them more aerodynamic, but they became sluggish. Because they snails do just... All right, everybody, that is all for now. Have a great week. Be safe, make good choices, and try to accomplish a small goal this month. For myself, I've decided I want to be able to do a push-up on the ground. I can do push-ups against like a wall or a counter or a table, but not on the ground because I haven't tried in a long time. So I want to do maybe more than one. It'd be cool to do like 10, but let's start small. Small goal this month. All right, I'll see you all next week. Bye!